It's a blowout. 8th inning, 10-3. Bases are loaded for Verlander, who waits out a 3-0 pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly ball. Deep center field. It is gone. Home run. And a huge bat flip to celebrate. All right, Ben, start the show already.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Flippin' Bats presented by Mattress Firm. We have another great one for you today. Of course, our guest is going to join us in a little while, Nicky Lopez, shortstop for the Kansas City Royals. Off the top, we're going to round the bases with some storylines from the week that was, and man, are there some good ones and a lot of them. And then, of course, later we'll get to this week in Shohei Ohtani news, my favorite segment of all time. In this week's episode, what we're going to do is name some awards. It's September. We're halfway through September. The season is getting close to ending. I'm going to go through who I think is going to win all the major awards coming our way after the season. And then, of course, we asked you guys on Twitter, so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And when we finish up today, an extra innings segment, I have a fun one for you, all about sign stealing, tipping pitches, all that good stuff. So you won't want to miss that. But off the top, rounding the bases, first base is the 9/11 game that took place this past week. The Yankees and the Mets, the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And this was the Fox game that was on Saturday, and they did an awesome job. Now, look, it was very, very emotional. And 9/11 is one of those things where we all remember where we were. I remember where I was, Miss Jennings' class in 4th grade in 2001. Another thing that we all remember, at least I for sure remember and a lot of sports fans do, is where we were when we saw Mike Piazza hit that home run against the Braves a few days later, the first game back. The home run heard around the world, really. It's something that all of the country needed. It's one of the first, really one of my first sports memories growing up. I was still fairly young at the time, and I just remember, I remember it being super emotional. I remember it being a really cool moment, but I didn't quite have a grasp on the situation for a whole. But this week was the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and the Yankees and the Mets played each other. And first off, hats off to whoever schedules this, because the schedules are made pretty far in advance. Whoever scheduled the Yankees and the Mets playing in New York on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, hats off to you. Awesome job. But this was the Fox game, and it was really, really well done. I watched the whole pregame ceremony. I watched the whole game, and it was emotional. It was very emotional from the start. There was an awesome feature done from Tom Rinaldi did it and talked to all the talked to Mike Piazza, talked to Chipper Jones. There was a whole feature that was shown. And it was really cool just talking about that home run that was hit in 2001, talking about the day itself of the World Trade Centers getting hit. It was very emotional. I was in tears, but it was just super, super well done, I thought. From God Bless America to the teams intertwining for the anthem to the teams shaking hands pregame. It was special. It was special, and it was a great game on the field. The pregame ceremony was awesome, and the Fox team, the broadcast, was so awesome from start to finish. So kudos to everybody involved in that for what was a very emotional day in New York for that 9/11 20th anniversary game. But moving on to second base was that series in itself, the Subway Series, the Mets and the Yankees. What a series that was, by the way. The first game was a blowout. Mets win in a blowout. So, kicked it off great in New York and in Queens. The second game was that 9/11 game. But the staple game of this series, that took place on Sunday. The Sunday night game, Yankees and the Mets, and man, oh man, was there some drama, and I love drama. Well, I love being on the outside of the drama. I don't love being a part of it, but man, I was on the outside of this drama, and it was great. So let me walk you through this. During the game, Francisco Lindor, shortstop for the Mets, many million-dollar man that hasn't had an awesome year. He heard some whistling going on from the Yankees dugout, and he heard some whistling. He didn't know what it was about, but he heard different pitches of a whistle. So, he had his thoughts on what was going on. So he hits a home run in the game. He ends up hitting 3, but we'll get to that. He hits a home run. He's rounding the bases, and he does a whistle motion to the Yankees. Like, hey, I know what's going on. I hear you whistling. He rounds home, gets to home. Giancarlo Stanton comes up. He hits a home run. He starts rounding the bases, and what does he do? He rounds second base, literally right in front of Francisco Lindor, stops in the bases. I've never seen this in a big league game. He stops in the base path, starts talking to Francisco Lindor, saying like, hey, dude, that wasn't cool. Probably a little more expletives in there, but I'm not going to say those. Stops literally in the bases, starts pointing at each other. They start jawing at each other. The bench is clear. He continues around home. And then what happens, of course, Francisco Lindor, with a tie game in the 8th inning, comes back up, hits a huge go-ahead bomb, his 3rd home run of the game, which was just the cherry on top of this game. They end up winning by 1 run. But let's listen in to what Francisco Lindor had to say post-game about that little interaction.
Francisco, after one of those home runs, you looked like you whistled toward them. What was behind that?
Yeah, Dustin. So talking to Glaver, as I came around the bases, I did the sign of whistling. I can't whistle hard, but yeah, I did whistle. It was just over the past couple of days. I can't accuse them of them whistling for the signs because I'm not 100% correct, but I know what I heard, and I felt like there was something out of the ordinary going on, and yeah, I heard what I heard. I'm not accusing them. I'm not saying they're doing it 100% because I don't know 100%, but it definitely felt that way, and I took that personal. I took that personal, and I wanted to put, like runs on the board to help my team win.
All right, so a few things to address here. What Lindor was talking about with the whole whistling thing was a sign stealing. He thought the Yankees were picking up on the starting pitcher's signs and then relaying it to the batter via different pitches of whistles. So when he rounded the bases and did a whistle motion, it was like, hey, I know what you're doing. So I tweeted out about this whole whistle thing and what was going on and about picking up pitches in baseball and relaying the signs to them. This is what I'm going to get into later in the episode. Before we finish up today, I'm going to go all into the art of tipping pitches, how to pick up on tipping pitches, how to relay that to the batter, how this has gone on forever and ever and ever. But that, in a nutshell, is what was happening here in this game and what Lindor was talking about. And then Stanton responded and didn't like what Lindor was doing, and then Lindor hits the huge bomb. So we're going to talk about that all later. What I want to say right now is that Francisco Lindor on Sunday night officially became a New York Met. He has struggled this year. He's had a tough year. He hit 3 bombs in a huge game, Sunday Night Baseball against the Yankees, the packed house, Subway Series. He hits 3 home runs. The place is going wild. It's drama involved. Baseball needed this. The world loved watching this. This was awesome. This was an incredible baseball game, and Francisco Lindor was front and center of it. The multi-million-dollar man steps up, hits 3 bombs, makes a huge deal of it. This was the staple game for Francisco Lindor as a Met. He really needed this game, and he's the reason that they went on to win this game. So kudos to the Mets, but what I love most of all is the drama that took place in that game, and what a series that was. The Subway Series was awesome. Baseball needed it. So kudos again to everybody that's scheduled it. It really seems like baseball this year is doing a great job of scheduling things in the middle of the regular season to get all eyes on baseball. The Field of Dreams game was knocked out of the park. They did an incredible job. All eyes were on that. Scheduling the Yankees and the Mets Subway Series on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and then making it the Sunday night baseball game the day after 9/11. kudos to the schedulers of baseball because they have been doing an incredible job, and the Yankees and the Mets took it away from there and really made this series super special. So shout out to the Yankees and Mets for bringing some drama to the baseball world because it was much needed and it was awesome. But moving on, heading over to third base, Bryce Harper should be the most valuable player of the National League. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen, and before everybody gets all up in a dither, I love Fernando Tatis. I've been on record saying I think he's becoming the face of baseball. I love everything he stands for. I love the way he plays this game. He's having an incredible year. But it is mind-blowing to me that we're just assuming he's the MVP, and this is all over with, and he's the huge odds-on favorite to win MVP. Why? Why is that still the case? Let's dive into this a little bit, okay? The season is almost over. Both of these teams are, the Phillies are a little further out of the playoffs, but it's not a foregone conclusion that they're not going to make it. The Padres, certainly it's not a foregone conclusion, so it's not like they're one of the best teams in baseball like we all thought they could be. So right there, let's pump the brakes a little on Tatis being MVP because we all know we like to have a winner. I don't love that philosophy, but I get it. But let's really dive into it, all right? Bryce Harper on the year is hitting .307 with 32 bombs and a 1.032 on-base plus slugging percentage. .307 on the year. I feel like this is very under the radar, and I don't understand why. Let's take a look at Tatis's numbers. He's hitting .283 on the year with 38 bombs and a 0.996 OPS. Do those numbers to you scream? Fernando Tatis is the MVP of the league. They don't to me. So I'm sitting here today telling you that this is not a foregone conclusion. Not only is it a foregone conclusion, I believe that Bryce Harper should be the MVP of the National League. I get it, Tatis plays a premier position. He just signed this super mega deal to stay in San Diego forever. And I love what he is doing this year. And I think that what he is doing this year after signing that mega deal is a large part of the reason that we're just assuming that he's the MVP. Everybody said all eyes were on him to start the year. Fernando Tatis, the young guy, taking the league by storm. He signs this huge deal. Was it the right thing to do? Should they have given him all this money before he had proven himself? Well, he certainly has proven himself this year, and he certainly has proven that he's one of the best players in baseball. But is he the MVP of the National League? I think we kind of just handed it to him before we actually looked at what's going on here. Bryce Harper's hitting over 300 with 32 bombs and an OPS over 1. Over 1,000. Just saying. I don't think this thing is wrapped up by any means. Bryce Harper in the last 18 games, he's hitting 400 with 9 home runs and 20 RBIs and an OPS of 1.395. 18 games isn't a small sample size. But if you go back to even post-All-Star game, Bryce Harper has been on a tear for the ages. And I feel like we're just not talking about it enough. So I'm sitting here today to say that Bryce Harper should be the National League MVP. And again, that is no knock on what Fernando Tatis is doing out in San Diego. I love watching him. He is one of the most exciting players in this league. And he deserves all the credit that he is getting for this year that he is having, especially coming off that huge mega contract and having the year he's having. But Bryce Harper, man, he's putting up MVP numbers. And it's time we start looking at him as possibly being the National League MVP. But moving on, rounding home, the AL wildcard picture. Whoa. I don't know if it's just because I'm super wrapped up in all teams this year or what it is, but I certainly feel like this wild card race in the American League is the most exciting that we have seen in a long, long time. And a big part of that is because it's all the teams in the AL East. The Yankees, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays. I'm going to talk about the Blue Jays again for a minute because they deserve to be talked about. In their last 13 games, they are 12-1. At the beginning of September, they were 6.5 games behind the Yankees. The Yankees were in the number 1 spot for the wild card. The Blue Jays were 6.5 games behind. The Red Sox were second in the wild card. The Blue Jays were 4.5 games behind Boston. Let's fast forward not even 2 weeks from the beginning of September. What's going on now? Well, the Blue Jays are in the number 1 spot for that wild card. And the Yankees and the Red Sox are deadlocked for the 2nd spot. So in the span of 2 weeks, the Blue Jays have made up all of this ground. How'd they do it? Well, in their last 13 games, they've gone 12-1. That's a good start, I think. And 4 of those games were against the Yankees in New York. So this series was huge. I can't emphasize enough how big this series was. This could have been the end of it for the Blue Jays. They could have gone into New York and gotten swept or even split, and it wouldn't have felt right for the Blue Jays. But what they did is went in and swept the Yankees. In the Bronx, they swept them. In a 4-game series. The Yankees got swept at home in a 4-game series and never had the lead for the first time since 1908. That's what the Blue Jays did to propel themselves into the lead, and they've continued to be hot ever since. What they did the other day, they just annihilated the Orioles this past week. Just annihilated. They put up 22 runs in 1 game. Listen to this. The Blue Jays are the first team to score 27 runs in a 4-game span. Or 4-inning span, ever. The first team to score 27 runs in a 4-inning span. Ever. The previous record was 25 runs in a 4-inning span. This team is hot. Nobody wants to face the Blue Jays right now. I'm telling you, they're dangerous. If they get in, they're dangerous. And they're in the driver's seat to get in right now. But this whole race is super exciting. You got the Yankees, who just totally fell off a cliff. They got really hot. They went all the way up the cliff, and then they fell right off the cliff. And now they're deadlocked with the Red Sox for the very last spot in the wild card. So those are the 3 teams that are really close. Look at this. I told you that the Blue Jays scored 27 runs in a 4-inning span. They scored 22 runs in that game on Sunday, which I love this here. NFL is back. Football is back. But let's talk about what the Blue Jays did on Sunday by outscoring the Colts, the Jags, the Falcons, the Chargers, the Redskins, the Washington football team, the Jets, the Panthers, the Titans, the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Giants, the Packers, the Bears, the Bills. They outscored all of them. The Blue Jays were playing football. That's what they're doing. That's why they're jumping up these standings as they are, because they stopped playing baseball. The football season started, and they started putting up football numbers. That's pretty impressive. So this race is exciting, and it's not just a 3-way race. It's not just those teams. The Seattle Mariners are there, by the way. We all don't like to talk about the Mariners because, are they really gonna compete? Is that really happening? Yes. Yes, it's happening. The Mariners and the Red Sox kicked off a big series, and Mitch Haniger Monday night goes 4 for 4 with a bomb, a huge comeback win over the Red Sox. They're 2 games back. This series is huge. Everybody was writing off the Mariners. They don't have the better team. They lost to the Diamondbacks. Well, what they did was they packed Safeco or T-Mobile Park on Monday night and had a huge win against the Red Sox. So this race, man, if you don't have all of your eyes, both of them, all 2, all your eyes on the AL wildcard race coming down the stretch, you're not watching baseball correctly. This is awesome. What the Blue Jays have done, the Yankees were the hottest and then the coldest team of all time. The Red Sox were leading the division for most of the year, and now they're grasping for a playoff spot. The Mariners, who are the most fun team, the most clutch team in baseball, They're being dubbed America's team. I don't know by who, but I've seen it a bunch, so they're dubbing them America's team. They're fun. Man, this entire race is super, super exciting to watch. And you need to watch the American League wild card race down the stretch because, man, it's exciting. But let's get into it now. Let's invite in our guest, starting shortstop for the Kansas City Royals, my friend Nicky Lopez. Nicky, thank you for joining me, my friend.
Thank you for having me, Ben. I've been watching your interviews a lot, so I'm glad to be a part of it now.
I'm pumped you're a part of it. And so here's the quick story of me and Nicky. I feel like Nicky and I are really good friends. We've known each other forever. We haven't actually met in person, and we've known each other for years. I know your parents. I know your family in person. I know your fiance. We've played COD and Fortnite in every game you could possibly imagine, yet it hasn't yet happened in person. How is this possible?
I don't know, but it's gonna happen soon, and we'll pick up right where we left off. But yeah, like you said, it's like we we're great friends, but we have yet to meet in person. So I'm looking forward to that day.
So as I said, I met your family before. I've met your dad, who I don't know. I feel like he may be the best athlete in the family, Nicky. I know you're hitting 300 at the big league level, but I hear he's in the Softball Hall of Fame. Is that correct?
He's in the 16-inch Softball Hall of Fame in Chicago. So if people don't know, it's a pretty big deal, and you don't use gloves. And the ball is like this big, and pretty crazy game. And actually, before he became a softball star, he was actually a huge football star. He got a letter from Mike Ditka for the '85 Bears to try out, and he actually bruised his kidney, so he wasn't able to go try out. But he was a huge football star.
Oh my God! What a stud! What a stud! All right, so Nicky, normally right off the top, we always get to some trivia questions. We have a leaderboard. Nick Castellanos is at the top of this leaderboard, so you got some tough company here. You ready? You got 60 seconds.
Here.
All right, ready? Who was your first career home run off of?
First career home run was off of oh my God, lefty pitcher for the Tigers. I can't think of his name. Matt Boyd.
Yes. Who was your first career hit against?
It was Gerardo from the Texas Rangers, a relief pitcher.
Who's your first career strikeout against?
Oh boy. They do not know.
Where did you bat in your big league debut?
Second.
Yes. Jersey number for your debut?
1.
Who batted behind you in your debut?
Was it Salvador?
No, Mondesi. First away game, where was it?
LA against the Angels.
There were 2 starting pitchers in your debut. Who were they? Time.
There was
Matt Boyd. It stumped you for 2 minutes, it seemed.
That's something way longer than it should have because
it's your first big league homer. You don't have but so many, Nicky. You got to remember the first one.
Well, when you said trivia questions, you stumped me right off the get-go. I was very, very I didn't know what to say.
All right. So I want to go back a little bit in your career to Creighton because, I went back, was doing some prep here and looked at your Creighton days. And personally, I had quite the jump from my sophomore to junior year and had a big change and went through a lot. And from your sophomore to junior year, you did as well. You went from hitting under 250 to over 300. Was it something like, what changed going into that junior year? Was it just you getting bigger and stronger, or what was it?
Yeah, so my sophomore year was a pretty tough year, both not really academically, but it kind of took a hit once you get to baseball season. I hurt my knee. I tore my meniscus, which kind of hindered me from playing, obviously. And then when I came back, because I rushed to come back because I wanted to play, just wasn't really – nothing was really clicking. But what really helped me was that offseason I went and played in the Coastal Plains League, and I did really well there. That's when I started getting some scouts looking at me, some teams that were, wanted to interview me. And then that kind of was a confidence boost. And then going in the next season, I was like, all right, well, if all these teams are talking to me, I might have a shot of getting drafted. And, they throw out the numbers of projections of where you might get drafted, what rounds. And when I was hearing those projections, that kind of, gave me another confidence boost. And I just wanted to go out there and, if this is my shot to do it, I want to prove to them that I can. And I had my best season yet.
Yeah, and then you go on to get drafted. And this is where we start getting to know each other. And I feel like we're playing Call of Duty every night. And you end up in the fall league. And I remember this like it was yesterday. You hit 380 something in the fall league. What was that, dude? Like what happened there? Like it all clicked for you, and then from there your career propelled.
Right. So I was I got called up for the second half of the AA season. That's where I ended that year. They told me I was going to be a priority player at the fall league, so I was going to play a lot. Mm-hmm. I didn't really know what to expect. Obviously, after you play a long season, all you're looking forward to is the off season to kind of chill and then get into a groove again. But I had to go and play in the fall league, so I was like, all right, I'm going to play a lot. And when I got there, actually, the hitting coach for the Cardinals was our hitting coach for our team, and he actually made a minor tweak to my my swing and also my setup. I was very wide. I was really into my legs and a lot of moving parts. And he actually kind of shortened me up, got me a little bit of rhythm. He told me you're a rhythm hitter, which made a lot of sense to me. And I actually picked up a Tucci bat that it felt really, really good. And I used that the whole fall league. And everything was, I was hitting everything. Every ball was hit hard, and it was awesome. It was a life-changing experience for sure.
Dude, I've always said and thought that I feel like hitting is like it's all done in so many different ways, but in the end it's all done very similar. Like there's so many differences and so many similarities in how a swing works. It all comes down to like being able to take some words and like use them to like making it make sense in your head, and having one person one day say something that you're just like, oh wow, that makes a lot of sense. Because you hear so much crap throughout your life of do this and do this and do this, and to have one guy come and say, hey, you're a rhythm hitter, and it just like clicks. It's like, oh yeah, that's great. And I feel like having that one guy make so much sense of it is kind of all you need at a certain level to let it click and then propel your career.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was one thing that kind of stuck in my head. And then I always say the power of positive thinking. So if you're thinking something and you're like, wow, this is actually going to help, and you believe in it and you buy into it, I mean, it's crazy how the game works. And, little do you know, then you're squaring up balls and you're like, wow, it's because I'm a rhythm hitter. And it's just funny how that works. So yeah, you're right. You're definitely.
So, and this is where I want to get your opinion, because when I was playing pro ball, I would really struggle with the opposite of that. And as you know, if you start thinking negatively, you're going to perform poorly. But it's so hard to have a game where you go 0 for 4, you're fine. The next night you go 0 for 4, then it's like, oh God. And then you go 0 for 4 again, and then you're screwed. I was screwed. I'd go home, it's all I would think about. One of our best friends, Mike Gerber, we were staying together in the Florida State League, and we'd both go home and literally just scream into our pillows at night. We were so frustrated and thinking so negatively. How would you, when you go through stretches of 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4, you see your average coming down on the scoreboard every time you walk up, how do you mentally try and transition it back to a positive mindset? Because it's not just as easy as positive mindset time. It's very difficult to actually do that.
Yeah, so that was the case last year. I was very negative. Last year kind of slapped me in the face. I didn't do very well, didn't hit very well. I was hovering right around that Mendoza line, and I would go home. And last year was very different too, because we had to go right to the hotel, to the stadium, right after the stadium, back to the hotel. So there was no like, oh, I'm gonna go get a drink, or I'm gonna go get some dinner with some friends to kind of unwind. You're going right back to that hotel, and you were thinking about it. And one thing that has helped me this year, after I got sent down in spring training, which was a huge blessing in disguise, but I created a routine, and that's something that kind of, when I was going off the rails earlier this season, I think I went through a streak of like 1 for 30. I stayed positive the whole time, knowing that, hey, I'm going to believe in this routine. I know this works. I'm gonna stick to it, and I'm gonna get out of it. And the power of positive thinking is pretty crazy, and that's something I kind of not reinvented myself, but I kind of started believing in my routine. And I never really had a routine before. I would just go and play, and whatever happens. But I think this routine is very beneficial for me.
What is it? Walk me through this routine a little bit.
Well, just kind of, going to the field, doing kind of the same thing. It's not really being superstitious, but, doing the same thing every single day. And then when you get into the cages, just doing, not tee work, but, flips, overhand flips. I always do overhand flips every single day, doing step back drill, getting my body right, to deliver the barrel to the ball, and just doing that every single day. And it's something I never really did. I would just go in, I would take some front flips. I would maybe hit off the tee, or I would hit off of a coach's arm, and then I would just go play. And, when you start struggling and you don't stick to a plan, things can unwind very quickly. And when I got sent down in spring training, thankful for JJ Picola and Alex Zumwalt. They created a routine for me and was like, hey, this is gonna help you. This is what your body needs to perform. And I've stuck with it this whole year.
Yeah. So being in the minor leagues is something that, and I talk to everybody about this, one, because it's the highest level I experienced. So obviously you got to a level that I didn't get to and didn't experience, but I also know that baseball is very unique in that every single person goes through the grind of the minor leagues. It doesn't matter who you are. It is a grind for everyone, and you do walk away with stories and lessons that you'll remember for the rest of your life. So hit me with one story or one thing you'll take with you and remember for the rest of your life from your minor league days.
Maybe Tulsa was always a great place for me. I don't know why. I hit my first ever cycle in a row. So I hit the single, double, triple, then I hit the home run. It was a natural cycle. That was the only time I've ever done it. Hit the home run the last time, and then hit a single the next at bat. So I was like 5 for 5. I was feeling great. I think it was probably 2 days later, we were still at Tulsa, and I don't know if you've seen this viral video, but the German Shepherd got loose on the field, and it actually ran to me. And you know how much of a dog lover
This went viral.
Yeah, it went viral. So it's like a viral clip that I'll always remember, and it always comes up like every single year. But this German Shepherd runs to me, and I grab it, obviously, and I was playing fetch with this dog on. Tulsa was always great, and then I'll never forget the 12 plus hour bus rides from Arkansas all the way to Texas, all the way to Corpus Christi and all that. So I will never forget that with the squad. So
yeah, I absolutely remember that story. It was the dog got away, and you were playing fetch with this dog on the field, and it went viral. That was all. Anytime I can get a chance to talk about dogs, I will do it. So talk to me about Hank. I know you've had Hank on your cleats. Let me know. Talk to me about Hank.
Hank is I call him my house hippo. He's just a beast of a dog. My dad's best friend. So right when I got drafted, me and my dad went. They were going to be empty nesters. So I was like, hey, let's go look at dogs. And right when we were looking at dogs, we found the perfect one, and it was Hank. And that my parents love him. And I was like, all right, I'm ready to have my dog back, and they're just not giving it up. So it's better that he's there, but Hank's my house hippo for sure.
Those cleats turned out sick, by the way. You had Hank on. We'll have to put up a picture of them.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, they did a great job.
So, here's a question. You recently got engaged to Sydney, and congratulations on that, by the way. So, my question to you would be, were you more nervous for your first big league at bat or to propose to Sydney the other day?
I was nervous to propose, to be honest. You know, obviously I had some butterflies for my first big league at bat. You know, a lot of fans, standing ovation. But once that first pitch came, I was like, okay, it's just a regular at bat. But when you have the ring in your pocket and you're like, going into it, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't know what I'm gonna say. To be honest, I don't even remember what I said. But
You blacked out.
I don't want to drop this ring. I want to be able to flip the box correctly. I don't want it to like be upside down. So there's a lot that goes into it. But I was definitely nervous for sure.
I gotta admit, once it's in your pocket, it's burning a hole. So many people were giving that Florida State player crap the other day because they lost to Jacksonville State or something, and he proposed after the game, and it's like that thing was ready to go. He was not waiting any longer.
Exactly. And Sydney was, not that she was on to me, but she was. I was wearing a jacket, and it was like 80 degrees in Chicago, and she's like, "Why are you wearing a jacket?" I have the ring inside my pocket. I'm like, you know, it might get cold tonight. That's by the lake. So.
Oh my God. Okay, so this year, I thought you were going to make the team out of spring. I think from talking to you, you thought you were, and then it didn't happen, and you get sent down. And you said earlier it was a blessing in disguise. What happened? I know you said it was a blessing in disguise. You go down, you're now back up, an injury happened. That's the reason you came back up so quickly, and now you're hitting 300. What happened when you went down?
Yeah, so I got obviously pulled into the office. New cuts were coming today. Didn't think it was going to be me, but pulled me in the office, said, "Hey, we're gonna send you down. We want you to kind of regroup, focus on, you know, what you have to do at the plate, because they know the defense is there, but they said, you know, we wanted you to focus at the plate, and when you're ready, you'll come back up." And I was pissed. I was mad. I went home. I don't think I really talked very much that day. But then I quickly, you know, because you get like 3 days. If you get sent down, you get those 3 days if you want to take them. I went the next day, and I hit for an hour and a half with Zumwalt, Alex Zumwalt, and JJ. But the first like 30 minutes, an hour, we sat in the this like room, and they pulled up videos of 2018. 2018, I had my best year in the minor leagues, and we just watched what I did in 2018, my setup, the way I attacked the baseball, you know, laying off pitches. You know, they brought up all this, you know, these stats of, you know, I was missing the fastball at like a 30% clip from 2020 to spring training, which is just not good at all.
No, not great.
And then we went to the cages, and I was like, all right, I'm going to emulate what I did in 2018, and I'm just going to bring it to the cages. So I brought the setup back. I was moving the bat a lot. I was, you know, just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna try to be that kid again. And then obviously unfortunate circumstances, Mondi got hurt, and you never want to get called up due to an injury. I don't care who it is, but I just, you know, that was maybe my break, and I just had to take advantage of it. And, you know, luckily I was able to help the team win, and, you know, help the team every single day. And now I'm helping the team on everyday basis, which is something I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome, man. And I know he got hurt early in the year, unfortunately, but it seems like it was literally best case scenario for you to not start the year in the big leagues, go through that, you know, that experience you did, and come back up literally after like a week, and then have a great season so far, man. You're hitting 300. You mentioned the defense was there. I'm going to go on record and say Nicky Lopez deserves the Gold Glove Award, by the way. Give it to him. How much would that mean to you? Because you are in contention for the Gold Glove. It is a real possibility right now, and I know defense means a lot to you.
Right. And yeah, I mean, going back to Creighton, I learned a lot from Ed Service. Obviously, he's a defensive guru, and but it would mean so much to me. Just knowing all the hard work and the dedication that you kind of put into with on the defensive side, and obviously personal accolades. Me, is not something I really care for. I want to win. I want to play hard and play for the team, but it would mean a lot to me. And, coming close last year at second base and now maybe having a chance of winning it this year, definitely would be great.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that you're hitting well, or it doesn't hurt that you're hitting well this year. They always say it doesn't matter, but trust me, it matters. And you hitting well this year, that might be the boost you needed. That might be why you didn't get it last year, but this year you're gonna get it.
I agree. Yeah, I think you're right.
All right, so I have a few questions that I ask everyone, 3 like career moments sort of questions. The first of which is, what was like your welcome to the big leagues moment?
Oh, I tell this story a lot. So actually, it's a combination of 2 things. My first ever big league flight was to LA to play the Angels. And it was also dad's trip. So I actually got to spend my first flight ever in the big leagues with my dad, which is something very special. So we flew to LA, and I got a single in the first inning, but at first base was Albert Pujols, and that's when I'm standing on first base with someone I literally admire and someone that I've looked up to and watched and drafted in MVP 05 and 04, and I'm standing there, and I remember him saying, like, he actually stole the shift, because we have a card in the back pocket, the shift card out of my back pocket and put it into his. And that's when I was like, I kind of just blacked out. I don't even know what I said to him. I probably called him like Mr. Pujols or something. And I was like, oh, I need that back. And he's like, you just made your debut. And I was like, absolutely, yeah, like, thank you. And he asked me, when. I was like, a week ago. And then I asked him, like, when did you make your debut? And he said in 01. And I was like, oh, nice. And he's like, how old were you in 01? I was like, I was 6 years old. And he goes, wow, I need to retire. And I'll never forget that interaction with Albert Pujols.
That is so awesome, man. Yeah, you're not forgetting that one.
No, definitely not going to.
All right, so the next would be, what is your favorite play that you've made in your career on the baseball field?
Favorite play? Does this have to be on the defensive end, or can it be any play?
Whatever you want. Anything you've done on the field. What's your favorite?
Well, my first home run that was off of obviously Matt Boyd was at TD Ameritrade. So my first ever big league home run was at my college stadium.
That's so cool.
We obviously played for, the College World Series, where we it was a tip off or whatever they called it, and was able to hit a home run, the same spot that I hit my last home run at TD Ameritrade, right in the bullpen. So
Whoa.
It was like the same exact hit, and obviously, actually, there's a funny story about that, is that ESPN blacked out right before my at-bat. So ESPN didn't get it. My parents didn't get it back home. No one even saw it. I think I have like a clip of cell phone in the stands that caught it. That's about it. That's all I got.
So it's a big league home run, and there's like no record of it.
Literally, I don't have the live feed of my first big league home run. I have a fan that's sitting in section 130.
Yeah, no wonder you couldn't remember your favorite play on the field. It almost doesn't even exist.
Exactly. So,
all right.
I know people were giving me slack, or they're giving me because I hit a home run at TD Ameritrade, and then my next one was at Camden, and then they're like, when are you gonna hit like an actual home run at a real stadium? And I'm like, oh. I finally got that one at Kaufman last year, so that's funny.
All right, if you were commissioner for a day, Nicky, put yourself in the shoes of the commissioner of Major League Baseball. If you were commissioner for the day, what is one rule that you would put in or take out for the betterment of the game of baseball?
See, I don't. All these rules, like the rules that they're putting in, I know, a lot of people have a lot of opinions on them because, you don't want to change the game too much. I personally like the universal DH. I did, but I know that's also, there's a lot of mixed feelings on that. If I'm going to go the fun route, though, because I know we were talking about the fun route, and me with dogs, I think it should be necessary for each team to have a dog in their clubhouse. So we were putting this. I was saying this to, I think it was Witt or one of my other teammates, is that this dog doesn't know if you went 0 for 4 or you went 4 for 4. It's still going to love you. And I think that's what baseball needs, is a little, something to decompress.
So a required therapy dog in the clubhouse.
Exactly, or on the bench, one of the two.
Well, I mean, if it's going to be in the club, it's got to come down to the bench during the game. So
I always get jealous because I see those bat dogs, the ones that run literally on the field to pick up the bat.
Yeah.
I've never played against a team that had that, so I would, that'd be cool.
Wow. I love that. Might be my favorite idea this far. Every team needs to have a dog that ends up on the bench in the game. So if you get out, instead of having nothing there, you can just go pet the dog, and the dog's going to love you just as much as anybody.
Exactly.
I love that. Nick, talk to me about Salvador Perez and the year he's having, because I watch your games in large part for you, and I see what he's doing, and it is special. It's very special, and you're right there every game, every day. So talk about what he's doing this year.
The amount of, work that he puts in before a game to keep his body right, and then the amount of work that he puts in the cages, and to go out and compete every single day. If it wasn't for an unfortunate stomach illness or virus that he had, I think it was maybe food poisoning or something, he was going to play 162, and as a catcher, that's crazy. And now he's on a record pace, and it couldn't happen to a better dude. And he works his butt off. The balls that he hits, the furthest, hardest thing I've ever seen. It comes off his bat a little different, and to be a part of it and to be on the same team as him is definitely something very special. And I think something we're going to look back to and be like, wow, I played with a Hall of Fame catcher, because I really think that's where his career is going.
How do you play 162 as a catcher? I've never even I didn't even know that was possible. What does he do to prepare his body for this? Because it's incredible.
Yeah, a lot of treatment, obviously. A lot of the hot tub, cold tub, and then he works out probably 3 to 4 times a week too. So on top of him, doing treatment and playing close to 162, he's also working out 3 to 4 times a week, which is something that not a lot of people, as obviously the dog days, come to August, September, you don't want to do anything. You want to just go to the ballpark. You want to get your treatment or whatever, go take some swings in the cages and then go and play. He's a workhorse, and he's special. He's definitely special.
Yeah, it's incredible. And speaking of what goes on behind the scenes to get yourself ready, I have to ask you about Shohei Ohtani. You got to play against him this year. What he does off the field to prepare is in my opinion, the most impressive thing of all of this, to be able to start on the mound and play every day and hit every day. You got to play against him. What was it like just playing against a guy that is having arguably the most impressive season in the history of the game of baseball?
Oh, absolutely. These are one of the, you don't see this generation or generational player, you don't see him. And to be able to see him do what he's doing with the bat, and then also on the mound, and luckily we didn't have to face him, which would have been pretty cool. But I always say that, standing at shortstop or standing in the infield, you got to be ready. When we're playing the Yankees, you see all those big boppers. You're like, all right, this ball can come at me 110 plus miles per hour. You got to be ready. And that's something that, Shohei in the box, you're like, okay, this ball's going to come at me pretty hard. And, it's something that I can, tell my kids about. Yeah, I played against this guy. He's the modern day, obviously, Babe Ruth. I know people are comparing him because he plays, pitcher and hitter. So it's something very special, and I'm just happy to be a part of it in the same era as him.
Yeah. Before I let you go, Nicky, talk to me about Nicky's number ones, because it's pretty cool what you're doing.
Yeah, Nicky's number ones is a charity that I have just started, and it's kind of picking up here and there, as of late. But it's just a charity just to get the youth involved and give them a positive role model in Kansas City. And I look to obviously make it a little bit bigger than Kansas City, but right now it's I help with the Operation Breakthrough, which is a underprivileged youth academy around here that they might not have a positive role model, male role model in their life. And then I do the YMCA Challenger program, who helps the special needs kids and the adapted kids. And it's something I take a lot of pride in, and I want these kids to know that I'm here for them, whether it's them messaging me, whether it's them meeting me at Kauffman Stadium. I right now with COVID, all these rules, you have to stick to just Zoom, which is very unfortunate, but hopefully I'll bring them to Kauffman Stadium, have a day with me, what it's like to be a big league player, and kind of just be a positive role model for them, and just know that I'm there for them if they ever need anything, and just kind of give them a light in their eye for sure.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. But, dude, thank you so much for joining me. We got to get back on the COD grind soon. I know we'll be playing soon. So thanks again. Nicky Lopez, Gold Glove. It's happening this year. You're winning it. Thanks again for joining me, man. Good luck the rest of the year, and come back on whenever you want.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it, man. I'll hopefully see you soon. But, yeah, we'll get on.
All right, buddy. See ya. All right, and I wanted to thank Nicky Lopez again for joining me. What an awesome guy and an incredible year he is having for the Kansas City Royals. So keep an eye on him for the potential Gold Glove Award at shortstop. And now it is time for my favorite segment I do this week in Shohei Ohtani news, presented by Mattress Firm. So talk to an expert and unjunk your sleep today. I promise you guys, you will not regret it. I have unjunked my sleep, and I actually get fantastic sleep now. So unjunk your sleep today. But let's get into it with my favorite segment this week in Shohei Ohtani news. He hit his 44th home run as a pitcher, and I'm going to explain to you why Shohei Ohtani is the MVP over Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So let's get into it with his 44th home run he hit earlier this week. Now, the coolest part of this one for me was that I called it. I called this home run happening. I sent out a tweet a little while before the game, and I said, I'm predicting a Shohei Ohtani home run tonight. Here's a good luck photo. Now, this photo comes from right after I got my wisdom teeth taken out, and I had that wrap of ice around my head, wearing my Showtime shirt. And that's what this picture is from. But it is now my good luck Shohei Ohtani shirt. So I predicted the home run happening. He was also pitching that night. So he comes out, pitches his first at-bat of the night. The first at-bat after I tweeted this tweet and photo. He hits an absolute laser beam bomb to right field. Laser beam bomb for his 44th of the year. That is incredible. 44. So there was a cool tweet about the stats behind this home run that I found really interesting from Sarah Langs. So when he hit that home run, it came off the bat at 114.7 miles an hour. So the 44th homer was 114.7 mile an hour exit velocity. That's the fourth hardest hit batted ball by anyone as a pitcher. So if you're pitching that game, that's the fourth hardest hit ball ever since StatCast became a thing in 2015. Ohtani owns the top 5. So his 44th was the 4th hardest hit home run of any pitcher that is pitching since this stat was created. He also owns 1 through 5. They're all Shohei Ohtani's. I mean, it's just incredible. It's mind-blowing. He is the MVP. He's going to win it. What he's doing is spectacular. On the mound, at the plate, on the bases, everything he does is spectacular. So it had been a little while since he had hit a home run, so I went on record with my lucky shirt on and said, you know what? He's hitting a home run today. And in his first at-bat, he did just that. He hit his 44th home run, propelling his season even further. His numbers are getting even better, and just juicing his numbers in this 2021 American League MVP campaign. Now, let me talk to you about this whole MVP race, because as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has caught him and passed him in home runs, because he now owns the league lead with 1 more than him. He's at 45. More and more people are starting to say, yeah, Vlad is the MVP. I love Vladimir Guerrero. I love what he is doing. I love the season he is having. But he's not the MVP. He's having an MVP type of season, and if it weren't for Shohei Ohtani, he'd be the MVP, hands down. But what we're seeing is the greatest season that we may have ever seen. So I want to explain why Shohei Ohtani is the MVP, why hands down this is happening, why he's a 50-1 favorite to win MVP. Vladimir Guerrero is having a better year offensively. He just is. He has 45 home runs now. He has an average that is better than Shohei's, around 300. He has 100 RBIs. Offensively, he's having the better year. You know who's also having a great year offensively? Shohei Ohtani. With 44 bombs, with 20-plus stolen bases. He's doing it all on the offensive side. He's scoring tons of runs, but most impressively, he's hitting balls out of the yard, and he's doing it in very exciting fashion and hitting absolute laser beams. But so just to reiterate, that's not the reason that he's MVP. If it were just offensive, sure, give it to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We're missing a totally different side of his game. That's only half of Shohei Ohtani's game. Half. And he's in comparison to Vlad as an MVP on the offensive side. But let's go look at his pitching, where he's 9-2. He throws 100 miles an hour. He has the best pitch that we've arguably ever seen in his splitter, which brings me to this stat. Of all the pitches thrown, at least 400 times by all pitchers since Ohtani joined the majors, his splitter is the most difficult pitch to hit of anybody. Batters have hit just .069 against Ohtani's splitter, with only 11 hits over 4 years. None of those hits being a homer. 11 hits and 159 at-bats for an average of .069. I love looking at the other names on this list. Johnny Venter's slider, Steve Cishek's four-seam fastball, Zach Britton's slider, and Dylan Maples' slider. Shohei Ohtani is better than all of them. The best pitch in baseball since he has come into this league. So not only does he have the best pitch, he's also striking guys out at an incredible clip. He also has a win percentage unlike we've seen in a long time, a 9-2 record on the mound. Hopefully he's able to get to that double-digit win mark. But it's incredible what he's doing on the pitcher side. He was in the AL Cy Young conversation up until a couple weeks ago. So on the offensive side, he's in the MVP conversation. On the pitching side, he's in the Cy Young conversation. You put it all together, and what do you have? A hands-down unanimous MVP. That's what you have. What makes me so impressed by all of this is what's happening off the field. It's impressive. What he does off the field to prepare is unlike anything I've ever seen. And I wish I could sit down with him and talk to him about what he's doing off the field, because as a position player in college that also pitched, I couldn't do it. To do it at the professional level, it is a full-time job to prepare yourself to pitch every 5th day. It is a full-time job. You're not just taking every other day off that you're not starting on the mound. You have bullpens, you have side sessions, you have therapy, you have workouts, you have more flat grounds. You're doing all of this, and he's doing all of that while also preparing to hit. I don't understand it. I don't understand how it's possible. That's why I love this so much. Not only because of what he's doing on the field, because of what he's doing off the field. That's why I sleep on this Shohei Ohtani pillow every night. Just kidding. I don't really. It's on my couch. But that's why I love it so much. And he's transcending the game of baseball. This season is about more than what's going on the field. This season is about a player doing something that has never been done in history. This season is about a player coming over from Japan and transcending the league and bringing in a whole new audience, bringing in a whole new country into watching what he is doing and to wanting him to succeed, and he's doing it, and to bringing in a whole new level and to showing kids growing up in Japan that this can be done. You can go into the Japanese professional league and make it in America and be one of the best players of all time. It's showing kids in America that you can grow up and you don't have to pick. I was told all throughout my career, you're going to have to pick one or the other. You know that, right? Nobody does both. Nobody's able to make it as both. And I'm glad I was told that because I wasn't good enough. I didn't throw 100. And I didn't hit balls 100 million miles an hour off the bat for 44 home runs. I did have to pick one because I wasn't good enough to be able to take the time to do both. But he is. And he's showing people that it's possible. He's transcending the game of baseball. He's an MVP type player on the offensive side. He's a Cy Young type player off the field. And he's changing baseball and how we know it for the better. And that is why Shohei Ohtani is the hands-down MVP of this league. That's why I love what he's doing. That's why I wear his shirts all the time. That's why I have the pillows. That's why this set looks like it does. Because of Shohei Ohtani and what he means to the game of baseball. And that's why he's the MVP. You know, one thing that I always dreamed of as a kid was being on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Always. I thought it'd be the coolest thing in the world. It's so hard to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. You know who is? You know who is right now? Shohei Ohtani. It's a split cover. There's a cover of him pitching, and there's a cover of him hitting. The title on it said, "He's not the new Babe Ruth. He's more amazing than that." I wrote an article earlier this year saying exactly that. It's talking about comparing the two. What Shohei Ohtani is doing to what Babe Ruth did. And he is better. And I ended the article by saying, you know, what we're seeing from Shohei Ohtani isn't just comparable to Babe Ruth. It's better. And now more and more people are starting to see that. He is the MVP. He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He's taking America by storm while a whole other nation is watching. It's special. It's special. And it has changed the game of baseball for the better and forever. It's changed the game of baseball forever, what we're seeing from him this year. And that's why Shohei Ohtani is hands down the American League MVP for this 2021 season. My man, and that is why I have an entire segment about him, because it fires me up talking about him. I just want people to realize what we're seeing. It's so special, and we will never see anything like this. We never have seen anything like this. This is the greatest season that we've ever seen. And that's why he's the MVP. That's why I talk about him. That's why I wear the shirts. That's why I have this set, because of Shohei Ohtani. And that does it for this week in Shohei Ohtani news, my favorite segment that I have, where I get to talk all about him and everything he's done throughout the week. And this week, he hit 44 bombs. He pitched. He stole bases. He did it all. And he's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And that is why he's going to be the MVP. That does it for this week in Shohei Ohtani news. All right, so we are halfway through September. So what I want to do now is go through all of my awards, who I think is going to win all of the major awards at season's end. The MVP, the Cy Young, the Rookie of the Year, the Manager of the Year, all of that. So I want to bring out my producer Conrad to feed me all of these. We asked all of you on Twitter this week at Flippin' Bats Pod on Twitter. So if you don't, make sure you follow it. But we asked everybody who's going to win these awards. I had my answers. I answered who I think is going to win all of them. So my producer Conrad is coming out to feed me all of these, and we will discuss my answers.
All right, up first, this one kind of shocked me, Ben. AL MVP Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah. This was the easiest one for me, for sure. Look, he's doing something that has never been done before. I understand that Vladimir Guerrero is having a great year. He's having a fantastic year. But Shohei Ohtani is doing stuff that has never been done in the history of this game. It's a no-doubter in my mind. It's not even a conversation. Shohei Ohtani is the American League MVP.
All right, up next, we have the NL MVP, Fernando Tatis Jr.
Look, I know off the top of the show I discussed why I think it should be Bryce Harper. But I think it will be Fernando Tatis. And look, when I answer these, I want to do them how I think it will go down, not how I want it to go down. I think Fernando Tatis is going to win, and I think it's in large part because of how popular he was coming into this season. Oh, he's the young phenom. He signs the biggest deal that we've ever seen. Was this done correctly? Should they have done this? The answer to that question is certainly. This was a great deal. And he came out and is demolishing the league and having a fantastic year. But is he having a better year than Bryce Harper? I don't know. But I do know that I think Fernando Tatis will win the National League MVP.
Gotcha. Then we have the AL Cy Young, Robbie Ray.
That's right, friend of the pod, Robbie Ray. Now look, he's not the favorite right now. Garrett Cole is the favorite to win this. But should he be? Is he only doing it because he's the ace of the New York Yankees? Look at these stats. Look at this. And this was before Robbie Ray's last start. And actually, Garrett Cole is currently out injured. But why is this a foregone conclusion? It's not. Robbie Ray is now at 220 strikeouts, so more strikeouts than Garrett Cole. He has a better ERA. He has a 2.69 ERA now. He has an 11-5 record. Why is this a foregone conclusion? It shouldn't be. Garrett Cole is now missing time. Robbie Ray is putting up better statistics, and for that reason, especially if the Blue Jays get into the playoffs, what they've done now, are you kidding me? Robbie Ray should be the favorite. But he's my favorite, and I think he's going to win this. I think Robbie Ray is the American League Cy Young winner. Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod, love to hear it. Then we're going to go into NL Cy Young, Max Scherzer.
Yeah, you know what? This one, when I think about this, and he's not the favorite either. Walker Buehler, friend of the pod, and Corbin Burns are still the favorites right now. When I think about this one, it hurts. Jacob deGrom going down is all I can think of. He was having the best year of all time for a pitcher, so that sucks. But look, I can't overlook what Max Scherzer has done. One, his 3,000th strikeout came just the other day. That matters. The year my brother won Cy Young Award, he had his 3,000th strikeout this year, and he was kind of neck and neck with Garrett Cole that year. And I really think having those milestones throughout the year matters. And he had his 3,000th strikeout this year. And what he's done since he's gotten to the Dodgers, since that trade, get this, 8 starts, a 6-0 record. His team has won every game, though. All 8 games that he started, they've won. He's done 51 innings, 72 strikeouts, 5 walks, and a 0.88 ERA. What?
Was he the best acquisition at the trade deadline, you would say?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That trade in itself was the best, which I've discussed, but he himself, I think, will go down as the best trade. But if the Dodgers don't win the World Series, the whole thing was a bust, and this year's a fiasco. This roster is built to win. But Max Scherzer, certainly the best acquisition to this point. I mean, the numbers he's putting up are incredible. One of 4 pitchers to strike out 3,000 batters and to throw multiple no-hitters and have multiple Cy Youngs. I mean, that's special. So, yeah, I know he's not the favorite right now, but I don't see anybody else winning this. I really don't. Max Scherzer is my NL Cy Young pick.
Yeah, either do I. Next up, we have the AL Rookie of the Year, Randy Arozarena.
Yeah, at the All-Star break, I would have told you it's Adolis Garcia, hands down. But his second half, he's really struggled. what Randy Arozarena has done is impressive. He came onto the scene in the World Series, obviously, in the playoffs, becomes the guy for the Rays. And he's just come into this year and kind of under the radar just had a great baseball year, a great year. He's hitting 274 with 19 bombs. He should get to 20 as a rookie. He's still officially a rookie. So this is his, I think, this is his to lose now, I think. Adolis Garcia is at 29 bombs, but he's not hitting well this second half. So Randy Arozarena is my pick for AL Rookie of the Year.
Got it. NL Rookie of the Year, Jonathan India.
Yeah. I mean, look, he plays a premier position. He's the shortstop for the Cincinnati Reds, who are potentially going to make the playoffs. And I've gone on record saying I have the Reds making the playoffs. And look, he's batting 273 with 20 bombs as a shortstop, as a rookie shortstop. I mean, this one is a no-brainer for me, especially with Rogers going down and getting hurt with the Marlins. This one's a no-brainer now. To have a rookie come in and play such a premier position and hit 20 bombs and over 270, and if they make the playoffs, whew, man, good stuff from Jonathan India this year. He's my pick.
Yep. AL Manager of the Year, Kevin Cash.
Shocker. I mean, the Rays amaze me every single year. They are always towards the bottom of payroll every single year. If you look at the teams around them in payroll, they're the worst teams in the league. And the Rays are the best team in the American League. So I think it's I think it's everybody. I think it's the front office. I think it's all the coaches you have in the front office. I think it's the GM. I think it's the players. And I think it's Kevin Cash. And how do you not give it? They're the best team in the American League with a roster that it pales in comparison on paper and on a payroll to the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox and the Astros. And what he does is just goes out and wins it's special with a team that you wouldn't expect it to happen. So Kevin Cash, American League Manager of the Year.
All right. Last but not least, NL Manager of the Year, Gabe Kapler.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Giants are the first team in all of baseball to clinch a playoff berth. And they're a team that nobody thought would be anywhere close to the playoffs. And they end up being the first team to clinch the playoffs. Everybody thought this year was going to be the Dodgers and the Padres out in the NL West. Well, guess what? Gabe Kapler and the Giants came to play. And they came to play with a roster on paper that wasn't anywhere close to what the Dodgers have. But this game isn't played on paper. And what Gabe Kapler did with this roster is special. Not only is he the Manager of the Year for the National League, he's done one of the best jobs that I've seen from a manager. I mean, Gabe Kapler was written off as a manager. Goes to Philly, he's this new hire. Does he know what he's doing? He's so analytical. What is this guy doing? They're terrible. They fire him. He goes to San Francisco and turns this team into a playoff team, into the 1 seed in the National League, most likely, out of nowhere. I mean, what a year. What a year for the Giants, and what a year for Gabe Kapler. So he is absolutely my National League Manager of the Year. So thank you for coming out here, Conrad, and running through those with me. And that does it for who I think is going to have all these accolades across Major League Baseball when all is said and done. And we actually asked you guys this on Twitter at Flippin' Bats Pod. And really the only consensus we all came to was that Shohei Ohtani should be the MVP. I saw a lot of Garrett Cole for Cy Young. I saw a lot of Walker Buehler for Cy Young. I saw a lot of Bryce Harper also thrown in there. So it's going to be really exciting. But one thing I know is that everybody needs to be following Flippin' Bats Pod on socials. But every week on Twitter, we come out with a poll for you guys to answer and to be a part of this show. So make sure you're following Flippin' Bats Pod, and you can be a part of next week's poll. All right, now let's get into extra innings. And I told you earlier in the show with the whole Francisco Lindor, Giancarlo Stanton drama that we had, it was all about sign stealing. It was all about tipping pitches. So what I want to do now is explain that in detail, exactly what's going on, or just what's going on at all times on a baseball field. Now, look, when I was playing, when I was coming up through college and even into pro ball, one thing we're taught is to find a way to pick up what the pitcher is doing. Find a way. He's got to be tipping. The majority of pitchers tip their pitches. That's just a fact. It's over 80% of pitchers are tipping in some way or the other. Can you pick it up? Well, the whole time, that's what we're trying to do. That's what you're trying to do in the dugout. Now what becomes interesting is how. There's certain ways it can be done. Sometimes when he throws a fastball, his glove stays still. Sometimes when he's throwing a curveball, his glove will flare out a little bit. That's one way to tell. There's a million ways to do that. Sometimes his tongue will stick out on a fastball, and sometimes it won't on an off-speed. There's a million different things that can be done. Sometimes you can't even pick it up from the dugout. You can only see it from home plate. You can only see it from second base. But then what happens is how do we relay this? How do we relay it to the batter? Sometimes it's a whistle, as maybe the Yankees were doing, according to Francisco Lindor. Maybe. He said, I'm not accusing anybody, but maybe. So what else can you do? Well, you can say your last name. There were multiple times where I'd be hitting, where it'd be, for a fastball, they'd say my first name. For off-speed, they'd say my last name. Come on, Ben. That means a fastball's coming. Come now, Verlander. That means an off-speed pitch is coming. That's just another way of doing it. Another way, you look at the third base coach or the first base coach. Sometimes they can see the signs from the catcher. They'll sometimes do something, whether it be say your first name or last name, or do something weird with their pant leg, whatever it may be. There's a million ways to do it. But something else that happens is when runners get on second base. And what happens here is this is where it gets a little different. And this is what nobody sees happening. And a lot of people were getting frustrated hearing the thoughts of stealing signs, saying, wow, what, really? Yeah, really. This goes on every single pitch of every single game forever. Now, there's a line, don't get me wrong, but this isn't it. This happens all the time. And what I want to share is a few ways this happens. So if you're a runner on second base, for instance, I'm going to demonstrate what happens. So oftentimes you can be a runner and get out on second base, and you can pick up on signs either from the catcher, or you can pick up on signs from what the pitcher is doing from behind in the stretch. Now, this is how you relay it to a batter from second base if you're the base runner. There's a million different ways, a million different sign stealing things going on, tips you're picking up on, ways to relay it to the batter that people just don't understand. So if I'm a runner on second base and I'm getting my lead and the batter's over there, instead of looking at the pitcher, I'm looking at the batter. I'm looking at the catcher to get the sign, and then me and the batter are locked in on each other. Instead of looking at the pitcher, the batter is looking at me. And it could be as subtle as how do I get my lead? Whether I walk this way. If this is the second base bag and I walk this way to get my lead, that's a fastball. If I get the sign and I see it's an off-speed, I can walk this way, get my lead this way. That's an off-speed pitch. If I get my lead and hold my right leg, fastball. If I see the sign, off-speed, get my lead, hold it with my left hand. It's very subtle stuff, but this happens all the time in baseball. It's all about picking up little things and relaying it to the batter. And that's what was happening. Maybe. I heard that the Taijuan Walker was tipping his pitches. The Yankees might have picked up on that, and the different pitches of the whistle were what it was the pitch. Fastball is this certain whistle. Curveball is this certain whistle. And that might have been what is happening. And then Lindor picks up on it. Stanton gets mad that he picked up on it. But I want to reiterate here is that both sides are fine here. This happens all the time. So the Yankees pick up on something. Great. They want to get it to the batter. Great. The Mets see they're doing it. They're not happy. Great. They have every right to not be happy. Fix it if you're tipping your pitches. But this is why I think it's okay, and I know it's okay, is because it's always happening. But both sides were frustrated, rightfully so. And it's the game within the game. It's what makes me love baseball so much, is the game within the game. Everybody's trying to get an upper leg. Everybody's looking for the flare of the glove from the pitcher in the catcher's legs. If his legs are too far spread when he's giving his signs, can we see the signals he's putting down? What does the pitcher do pre-pitch? Is he grabbing his hat a certain way to tip us off? But this is what's going on in the dugout every single pitch. Is you're trying to pick up on something. And if you get to second base and you know the signs, you figure it out, you figure out how to relay it to the batter. In spring training, we would go over how do you relay these signs to the batter. well, what we're going to do is walk this way or this way. But this is baseball. This is the game within the game. This is why I love the game of baseball, because there's so much going on behind the scenes. And we actually got to see a glimpse of that in the Subway Series. With the Mets and the Yankees, we got a glimpse of what is going on between the players, between the teams, in the weeds of the game. Obviously, we see what's going on the field. But Lindor gave us a glimpse of what's going on in the dugout. I heard a whistle. It was different pitches. I knew that's what was happening. And then Stanton's not happy that he picks up on it. But it's the game within the game that makes me love baseball so much. And I really thought that was a cool situation that we got to look at, and we got to hear from Lindor about it. And I just wanted to showcase what I learned throughout my career on the art of picking up pitchers that are tipping, and on the art of how to relay that to the batter. It is an art. It's an art. And it takes a lot of practice, and it's something that you learn growing up through the game. This is something that goes on. Obviously, there is a line, but this isn't it. This is part of baseball. Picking up on things, relaying it, then having to stop relaying it because you got figured out. That's baseball, and that's why I love baseball. And that does it for this week's episode of Flippin' Bats. Thank you guys so much for joining me. What an awesome episode. Thank you, Nicky Lopez, for joining me, a friend of mine. Make sure you're following at Flippin' Bats Pod on all social medias. Make sure you're listening on Spotify, on Google, on Apple. If you're on Apple, rate it 5 stars, please, and leave a comment. But make sure you're following on all social medias. On YouTube as well, this comes out via a video. So if you're listening only, head over to YouTube and you can see this segment and how I did it and how I showed you what was ways to tip pitches and ways to give it to the batter. So that does it for this week's episode, and I will see you next time on Flippin' Bats.
It's a blowout, 8th inning, 10-3. Bases are loaded for Verlander, who waits out a 3-0 pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly ball, deep center field. It is gone! Home run! And a huge bat flip to celebrate.